This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Be aware I am not a medical doctor, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. But I hope you still enjoy. Hey friends, welcome to the Gluten-Free Advocate, a Substack and podcast that helps me process my health journey and my determination to pretend that those health conditions don't exist at all. If you're looking for tips, tricks, and learnings for traveling the world with celiac disease and type 1.5 diabetes, you have come to the right place. Now, let's get started. Hey guys, it's another episode of the Gluten-Free Advocate. Really happy to see you guys all here, and we have a really special episode with you today. As we all do nowadays, when we get diagnosed with something like celiac disease, like type 1, like anything, we immediately go to social media, see who's talking about it in that space, and we follow them and do whatever we've got to do. And Erin was one of those people that I followed very early on across multiple accounts that I had over the years with the gluten-free Globetrotter. And she is one of the people that made me feel like I could travel, I could go anywhere. And she has since started reaching out to me, which has made me feel really special and amazing about my travels and asking me questions about my experience with celiac disease. And guys, you're going to learn in this episode that it's just the amount of years that I've been going through it, 16, it's child's play because Erin was diagnosed in the 80s. So she was the swimmer before the boat, as my mother would say. So I admire and respect Erin in so many ways, and I'm so excited for you guys to feel the same way and listening to this episode and learning more about her story and figuring out how to know that you can travel anywhere and do anything, even with celiac disease, even with any type of condition or allergy you may have, anything is possible. So yeah, buckle up and enjoy this episode. Hi, Erin. Thank you so much for doing this. As someone that's been following you for a long time, I'm just nerding out and so excited to be getting to meet you.
Yes,
How
thank
are
you.
you?
Good. Thank you for having me. The feeling is mutual. I love following all your travels online, so I'm glad to be here today.
And finding out before we started recording that we're fellow New Yorkers, I feel like there's a kindred spirit that I'm meeting here. So
Totally.
extra special. So I always ask the first question is your celiac diagnosis story, and I'm fascinated about yours and the little bit that I know. So are you okay telling and sharing that story?
Sure. So I was actually diagnosed in 1981, which I'm sure is way before you were born. But yeah, I was a toddler. I was very sick. My parents had taken me to the pediatrician, and then they actually admitted me to the hospital and did a series of tests. And I um, I ended up getting diagnosed probably after about a week in the hospital. They tested
Oh,
me
wow.
for everything from a parasite. At that time, I had never left Long Island, so it wasn't like having glamorous travels around the world. But they told my parents it could be cancer, and eventually through an endoscopy and a biopsy, I was diagnosed with celiac. And I actually, because I'm a bit of a nostalgia hoarder, so I have my actual pediatric medical charts. And in the first time I saw them write the word celiac was actually July of 1981. So I have that written proof. My mom wasn't quite sure the exact date of diagnosis, but I used 1981, like the summer was when I was diagnosed. So it was just after I turned 3 years old.
Wow, it's so crazy. I go on these celiac cruises, and it's obviously where you're going to meet a lot of people with celiac disease, and everybody talks about there being before celiac and then after, but there is no before for you that you know of. And you
Mm.
asked me, and I feel like I should really be asking you this question of how celiac has changed over time in your lifetime, especially when you had no before,
Yeah.
that it's just been this way always for you. And I'm so sorry, but also for your health, I'm also glad for you.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I don't remember life with gluten, but I definitely can see in my life that I've gotten healthier over time just because there's been more awareness, right? Like we
Mhm.
didn't even know the words like cross contact, cross contamination. Like that just wasn't a thing when I was a kid. There was no internet, so it was like getting information from like my doctor. My grandma actually was Canadian and was part of the Canada Celiac group since the early 80s, and there was a lot of information coming out of Canada that we just didn't have yet in the US. So, but I can see over my life that I got healthier because there was more awareness, right? Like it wasn't, I was just more conscious of the decisions I was making in my life. And, just, I talk about this and I know people get like a little bit uncomfortable, but like I did cheat as a teenager because I just didn't know. I didn't know the harm I was doing to my body. Now, like I can't even imagine doing some of the things I did as a teenager. But again, like over the 40 plus years of living with celiac disease and being gluten free, I've learned so much. There's so much more information that has come out. And so I personally have like gotten, I think, healthier in terms of my celiac. And, uh, but you said about how I don't know the before times. My sister was diagnosed with celiac as an adult. So for
Wow.
her, I know the before times and then the after. And then since my sister's diagnosis, there's now four of us diagnosed celiac in our immediate family and one non-celiac gluten sensitivity. So it is now a family affair. I was very isolated and alone as a kid, but over the years. I guess I'm lucky that more cousins and sister and nephew and people got diagnosed because now I'm not alone in that journey. So
Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that you had to feel any period of isolation because I was diagnosed at the same time as my brother and sister. Like three out of the four of us, the lonely one is the one sibling that doesn't have celiac. And now my mom had recently found out that my mom has also been added to the bunch.
oh,
So it's interesting of how everybody's story is the same and also so different. Like I interviewed my sister on the podcast, and even though we're only 4 years apart, we're diagnosed at the same time, our experiences were so different. And you mentioned in high school how that was for you, and cheating and having those cheat meals. I did too, because at the time it kind of was like making do, and there's so much judgment about. I remember saying to people, yeah, I'll have like a Wendy's baked potato because that seems to be the safest. And when you're in high school, you're just on the go, you're not really like that. It's not a luxury, or it's a luxury to be able to have a sit down meal, at least in my family.
yeah,
Um and uh the information out there is not what it is today, even in like the 16 years. So I definitely relate to you in
yeah.
that sense of, my partner was just, he was diagnosed 9 years ago and he's like, what do you mean you do that? I'm like, well, you're still a rookie in my eyes, and like the times have changed.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I have to say, like, growing up, I knew I was like different, right? Like, I
Yeah.
knew I had to buy my food. I mean, there was nothing in the supermarkets back then, right? So I
Right.
was literally mail ordering. I remember being like 12 years old and like calling the company because there was no internet yet. And I was
Yeah.
like, I need to order a case of bread. And then the bread came like vacuum sealed with these like little silica gel packets. And it was like not good, but it
Yeah.
was what I had. But that was different, but like also my parents never treated me
Mm.
differently. Like I went to sleepaway camp, I went away to
Okay.
college, like I had a sweet 16, like I still did all of the things. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what shaped me to like be who I am, is that I was never treated as other. And, I see these things today of like people getting bullied because of like food differences and allergies. And like, I never really experienced that. And I
Okay.
really credit, especially my mom, like, she just never made me feel different. And so I never acted that way.
Yeah.
And, I remember things like, birthday parties in school and stuff like that. But my friends loved it when it was my birthday because I brought in ice cream and nobody else did. Like everybody else was bringing in munchkins, right?
Yeah.
It's like little things like that. Like I just lived my life, and so I don't know any other way of living.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky in that sense. And I do feel like because it has been my entire life, like it really has made me to who I am today. I mean, I would never have started my blog. I would never have started my
Yeah.
business. All those things like lead back to celiac, and
Mm.
and it's just I can't imagine life any other way.
Yeah, I'm curious because for me, again, because I was diagnosed at 15, 14, 15. It sounds like you didn't have this experience, but I mean, we're here to talk about how we've traveled, right? And
Mhm.
so I, at first, thought that traveling was off the table for me. And the first time I went anywhere was to an English speaking country because I was like, all right, well, that's a good baby step. And maybe I could figure out the gluten free of it all more easily that way. Did you have like oh, I might not ever get to have that experience traveling, or your parents just set you up for having a real positive attitude about it all?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was thinking back, like I don't even remember it being a conversation. Like we
Yeah.
just, we had family in Canada, so we came to Canada a lot. My
Mm.
first trip internationally besides Canada was Mexico, and it was like we were just
Wow.
going. So, it was never really a thought. And then when I started traveling, really traveling, and I did a lot of solo traveling in my 20s, it was just that I wanted to travel. Like I just didn't even think of it. I was like, I'm just gonna go, and these are the places I want to go. My first solo trip was to Arizona because I was nervous
Oh,
about the
wow.
language barrier, but like I
Yeah.
wanted to see the Grand Canyon. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'll make this happen. And really, I never thought about it until really the internet, really. Like I never really thought about it. I was like, we're just going to travel. Like we traveled as a family. We, did a lot of local trips from Long Island, and then we did Canada and Mexico, and it was just what we did. There was not a lot of planning you could do back then because there was no internet. So it was just
Right.
like, a lot of trial and error when you were traveling. But yeah, I never thought that I couldn't because I always did, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I love that. And it sounds like, because for me, I got the itch to travel through my grandparents and through books that I read. But it sounds like that was also just part of the fabric of your family. Is that what inspired you to want to go on those solo trips, or what was the catalyst for that?
Um, to be honest, I mean, I was in my 20s and all my friends from college were getting married, and I was like, I'm not there yet. I was working in Manhattan, like having the best time, and I was like, I have disposable income, I have no partner, and I have no child, so I'm going to travel. And I
Yeah.
just started. I mean, I had, my first, like I said, my first solo trip was to Arizona, and then the next year I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the Czech Republic. I was like,
Yeah.
I just picked it. It looked beautiful, and that was my first international trip by myself.
Mm.
And that I was nervous about, but I also did research and was able to find places that I knew I could get gluten-free food. It wasn't always easy. Czech is a very different language than English, and but it was totally worth it. And it was actually after that trip that I officially launched gluten-free Globetrotter, and that was exactly 15 years ago. As I was getting ready for this podcast, I was like, oh, yeah, it's 15 years since I launched that website. So um, it was really because I came back from Prague, and it was the first time I had gluten free beer on tap. And I was like, I need to tell everybody about this. And I was already a blogger. I had another blog that I started in 2007, but it was 2011 that I started Gluten Free Globetrotter. Really just to tell people about Prague and having beer that I could drink.
That's funny. I think that's right around when I got diagnosed too. So that's amazing. I love that. The parallel lives.
Yeah.
Um, but that's incredible. And that was actually my other question of, how that all started. And so did it pick up momentum quickly, gluten-free Globetrotter, of just a lot of people gaining traction and just spurred you on to want to travel more? Like what kind of came first, the chicken or the egg type of situation for you?
Yeah, so I started my first blog, Gluten Free Fun, in 2007. I was living in New York. I wanted to share like my lifelong experience.
Yeah.
I was working, going to happy hour, and I was like, it was called Gluten Free Fun because it was like that's how I live my life. Like I
Mhm.
was socializing with friends. I was, you know, getting around in Manhattan, and I was like, I want to share that. So I had already like, I guess, 4 years of blogging under my belt. And then when I decided to start Gluten Free Globetrotter, I knew I really wanted to focus on the travel, share my travel experiences. And pretty much every year, I planned a big solo trip. I loved traveling by myself. And I really just wanted to share that experience. I really wanted to share like global information, like early on, like I met some great people from around the world and I wanted to share that in English, like I remember I met with a woman who had a magazine in Argentina and I was like fascinated about, learning about celiac in Argentina. So I shared that with my audience. So it was really just kind of a labor of love to not only share travel tips, but to like encourage people to travel because I never like I said earlier, like I never thought that I couldn't travel. And so I wanted to like kind of empower other people to with celiac disease to be, to give them hopefully a little hope and bravery to get on that plane and travel and really explore the world. Because I always say like never let celiac stop me from seeing the world, and it seems very much from your feed that you feel the same way. And I
Yeah.
just don't want anybody to ever feel that they have to not do something.
Yeah.
And to me, travel is such an integral part of my life that I just really want to share that with other people.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that you did it on a blog as well, because I started off, I was doing a year, or I was supposed to do more than that, but living in Italy for a little bit of time. And it was just started as a way, I started tracking everywhere I was going because that's what helped me the most was the blogs, not social media,
Right.
no one's clips and stuff on TikTok, but it was people's kind of like restaurant reviews in.
Yeah.
And sometimes the apps are tricky. Like I have a lot of struggles with Find Me Gluten Free where it wasn't, and I probably they'll never want to work with me because I never anyway. And but I've always had struggles with that app and other apps as well, that it wasn't up to date, or they would say that people would say they had gluten-free options and I would show up and they'd be like, we serve nothing but gluten here, I don't know what you're talking about, and never had.
Mhm.
So I've found blogs to be the easiest way and the most reliable way of figuring out how to travel. So thank you for your service and being one of the pioneers in that. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah, and I mean, really, my blogs, especially my first blog. I mean, there was no Instagram.
Yeah.
Facebook was still, a university thing, and so I actually think I was late to the Instagram game. I didn't join Instagram until 2014. I've never been on TikTok. Never will be on TikTok. But it's just, I'm the same. Like it was actually blogs and Twitter at the time. I was really
Yeah.
active on Twitter and I connected with travelers from around the world that I'm still friends with today because we connected over travel. And it was like, hey, I'm going to this city. Where can I eat? But again, it was the blogs for me as well. And today it's still the blogs. I mean, I get ideas from social media, but I still like to read. I'm old school. Like I want to read, I want to read and I want to read the city guides but yeah, I mean, I love writing and the social media, like this, the quick clips and social media posts, they just didn't exist when I started my blogs anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And influencing wasn't the same
oh no,
as
no,
it
no,
is
no.
now. Yeah. There was no, yeah.
No, not at
And
all. It was so different back then. And I still, people that I met so many years ago through the, social media, through blogs. They're still friends of mine today and really trusted resources in my mind,
Mhm.
and who I will go to, like if I have questions about places to travel or, similar to what you said with the apps. I mean, the apps were starting to come about. I find today, and this could be a whole nother topic, is like there's so much AI slop out there right now, and it didn't exist back then. So I almost feel like back in the day, making myself sound old, but it was better because it was like real first person accounts of this information. And now it's like where are we getting this information from? So
Yeah.
so that has gotten a little trickier over time, but I still try to my blog has kind of slowed down, but I still have an active newsletter, and it's 100% me writing it, so it's
Yeah.
there.
And it also goes to show of how much you were doing it for the love of it and for the care for the community, which also speaks to your character as well of the
Thank you.
person that you are. So another reason of a just gobsmacked of I think there's only one other person that I could think of that is probably doing all these things just simply for the care and the love of wanting that community to this community to thrive. And um, he's in Australia though, so we seem to be scattered all over the planet. But
I'm sure you're
I
talking about Ben. So
oh yes,
yeah, he's
yes,
great.
yes, I adore him so much and
Yes.
his wife and his girls. But I appreciate that you're of that ilk as well. So thank you on behalf of us
Yeah.
all.
I appreciate that. Honestly, it was like I didn't meet another person with celiac until I was a teenager, right? Like we started going to these support groups that came about in probably like the early 90s. Everyone in my support group at that time was like 1,000 years old, and I was like 14, right? So I really like, I didn't know anyone else. So when I started writing my blogs, I just was like, let me share this. And I can think of people that have written to me and were like, thank you so much, because I didn't know anyone else. And I was like, I know how that feels. Like I 100% know how that feels, and I am so happy that I could connect with you, and that you didn't feel lonely. And that's really why I still do what I do. I just want
Yeah.
people to know they're not alone, and that that they can live their life. Like I always am like, they're like, well, what didn't you do growing up with celiac? I was like, I guess I didn't eat gluten. Like, I don't know what else I didn't do, like I said, I've done all the things, and I want people to know, especially, parents of newly diagnosed children. Like I want them to be like, okay, you're going to be okay. Like I really want them to know that, because this summer, it's crazy to say, but this summer is 45 years of living with celiac. And I'm like, it is totally possible. Like I am living proof of that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A full, thriving life. You
yeah.
talked about the support groups, and I want to hear a little bit more about that. Because do you run now support groups or
Um,
organize them?
right now I'm not. So in, I guess, gosh, it was like 2004. There's a platform called Meetup. And so I found a gluten-free meetup on there, and I was like, this is great. So the first one I went to in Manhattan, it was about 5 of us. It was organized by meetup.com, and it was at a place that was all 100% full of gluten. And we just sat there. We're like, okay. So shortly after that, a woman named Chanel, she started running the actual group and like organizing it at celiac friendly places. And then it was like kind of late 2004, 2005. I was like, hey, Chanel, like, I love this. Can I help you? And then I just kind of took over the group, and I organized that group for more than 10 years. And then I moved to California, and I started the Santa Cruz Celiac. So I started a support group there. And then I moved back to New York. I was a little bit involved in the support group again. And then I moved to Montreal in 2024,
Wow.
and I got involved with the local celiac group here as well. So, the support groups are, I think, I love the meeting people in person. I'm just a people person. And so I've always found them to be important. Um, but really, in the 2000s, when I was organizing the New York group, like I lived in New York, I wanted to socialize with other people and try new restaurants. And really that group was such an integral part of my life for so long, and I really am proud of what it turned into. And it really led me to like so many things in my life. I quit my corporate job in 2014 and started a gluten-free consulting business, and I've never looked back. So
Yeah.
I really think that building that community and building that network for 10 years, you know, gave me the confidence and the network to have a constant career since
Yeah.
then. So
I love that. Ugh. And I'm sure going from New York to California, back to New York to Montreal, that there's big cultural differences in how each area approaches the gluten-free life.
for sure, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, California was very trendy.
Yeah.
And so, but it's also, like time and location, things have changed over time. Location has been interesting. I've been really pleasantly surprised by Canada because there's
Oh,
so much
nice.
awareness here. And I
Yeah.
really credit a lot of that to the Celiac Canada group. And I mean, they've just done an amazing job up here, but labeling is better, awareness is better in general. And so it's been interesting. But I'm also at a point in my life where I don't know that I need the support group as I did in the
Right.
past. I'm also like working and have a child, and so like my life has changed. But I still, I like going to these events, and I love organizing events. Like I just
Yeah.
love bringing gluten-free people together. So it will continue to happen. I've organized about 3 events since I got here to New York, to Montreal. Sorry.
I love that. I may need some mentorship from you because I would love to figure out how to do that and just need the little dipping of the toe and moving
Yeah.
one foot in front of the other and figuring it out. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to keep these conversations going off without microphones and without being recorded. But for what are in these support groups, I imagine I don't want you to feel like you have to give the services that people pay for in your consultations for free, but when they're coming up to you and maybe travel is spoken about, what's the tools or top tips that you give folks as far as being able to travel with celiac disease and things that they need to keep in mind? Because you're obviously a seasoned pro at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and we touched on this a little, like
Yeah.
research, like starting
Yeah.
your research before your trip. I love planning trips. I plan trips for other people, so it's just a hobby of mine. But I make the celiac research part of the itinerary planning, right? Like I know the sites I want to see in a certain city. I know, where my hotel is. So I start really just compiling a list of you know 100% gluten-free restaurants, gluten-free friendly restaurants, supermarkets, farmers markets. I just love like putting all that information together. And I laugh because I think about like when I was doing like a weekend trip from New York to Philadelphia, and I was literally there 2 days, and I must have had like 40 places on my list of places to eat. And I was like, how am I going to eat all of these places? And my husband's like, we're not, like, we don't have enough time or space to eat all of
Yeah.
the food. But I think it's just being prepared. It's making sure that you have backup. No, I people kind of cringe when I say find a supermarket or find a Walmart, but that is a way you can eat. You don't always have to eat at a restaurant. And you said something earlier which I think of a lot. Like I use Find Me Gluten Free regularly. I
Yeah.
drove cross country twice, and one time I drove very far out of my way to go to a restaurant. I was super excited. They were gluten free. Um, but I also have a shellfish allergy, and I found out they were frying shrimp in the fryer with the onion rings. So it was like
Oh,
I
no.
found this great place, and I just never crossed my mind to ask about shellfish. And I was
Right.
like so psyched for these onion rings, and
Oh,
so it even stuff like that, like it happens to the best of us. And
right.
or for like another example, like you said, like using the app. I'm in Paris, sometimes Parisians make their own hours, and it's like you show up at the restaurant and it's not open for days and you don't know why. And or I remember knocking on the window because I could see people inside, and they're like, yeah, we're just closed. And I was like, I just want to eat, right?
Yeah.
But I also had backup. I knew, I could go to the supermarket. I knew which brands to look for. So, um, but it's doing that research ahead of time. It really can help kind of like ease your mind as you are traveling. That said, I understand you can't plan everything. So it's just making sure that you can be flexible, you can roll with it. I mean, yeah, I get upset, I get angry, I get hangry, you know. um, I think of another tip is using translation cards.
Mm.
I use translation cards all the time. And a funny story is I was using them in Thailand, and one day every single restaurant rejected me because of my translation card, because I think they like had the fear of whatever it put into them. Like they were like, no, we're not going to feed you. And it was more that they were trying to be careful because they're reading my card. And in Thailand, I had a gluten card and a shellfish card. And
Okay.
so once I presented those translation cards, they're like, no way. Um, I don't know if you've ever been to Thailand. There are 7-Elevens everywhere. So I was like, okay, I know I can go into 7-Eleven. I can buy a hard boiled egg and a banana and a piece of cheese. But that's what I did, right? Like that's how I ate that day. I was super hangry, but in retrospect, I'm like, thank God I didn't get glutened in Bangkok. Like, what would I have done? Like, I would have been crying in my hotel room by myself and puking for 3 days, right? Like,
Yeah, not worth it.
no.
Yeah.
So I think um, just in kind of summary is doing the research before, buying the translation cards before, like you said, reaching out to bloggers, reaching out to people. I guarantee there is someone in the world that has been where you are going, and that person has celiac. Just kind of like shameless plug, I founded the Celiac Travel Group on Facebook. We are now over 50,000 members,
I
and
realize that was you.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. I
crazy.
started that many years ago. I also started Gluten Free in New York City, which is about 5,000 members. But that group is like a wealth of information because there are people, they're like, hey, I'm going to Zimbabwe. Like, where can I eat? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and then there's a conversation, right? There are people that have been there, there are people that have lived there. And
It's one of
it's
my resources.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a
Love that group.
really, I never imagined when I started it, it would be what it is today. And it really is, it's really where I do most of my research when going to someplace new. But also local Facebook groups. I mean, the Gluten Free Montreal group has really been great for me to learn where to eat here. But again, like just cross referencing, not relying on just the app, but talking to people and looking at Yelp and looking at, whatever review site is local. And also internationally, I found there's a lot of really good apps from celiac organizations, like in Italy. Argentina has one, Spain, these local celiac groups have put together these apps or these resources, and these are locals, right? So they're living the life. We're going there on vacation, and they're just like a fantastic resource. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I can speak to the one in Italy is just
yeah,
beyond, above and beyond. It's incredible. Yeah.
Italy as a whole is like above and beyond.
Yeah. 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 Oh, goodness. What was the country that, because I heard you mention Thailand, what is the country that you went to that you were like, oh, I think I'm going to have a rough time here, and then was actually pretty decent as far as gluten-free accommodations go?
Um, I mean, Thailand was hard. Thailand was really a trip to test myself in a lot of ways. Like, I'm like, I'm gonna go here 2 weeks by myself,
Yeah.
travel around this, Asian country. Um, I did okay in Thailand. I did go to 7-Eleven a lot, like a lot, because I could get like easy, takeaway things. I would say I ate pretty basic. Um, and another thing for Thailand is like once I found a place I could eat safely, I went back many, many times. I,
Yeah.
I found a stand that had pad thai, and I think I probably ate there like 7 times in a week because I knew I could eat there and not get sick. So, um, Thailand to me was difficult, but more because of the language barrier than
Mhm.
anything. I found places and I was okay. Um, the Czech Republic was really hard because of the language difference, and
Oh,
and um, and I also went to like the countryside where it was just like
yeah.
nobody spoke English. Um, that's a whole nother story. I stayed in a puppet shop. So there was like all these
Oh,
creepy puppets everywhere. And I was like,
wow.
I can't eat and I'm surrounded by scary puppets. So like, that was little hard. I remember that was like 48 hours of me being pretty hungry and just like surviving off snack bars. But it was
Oh my goodness.
also, I think I had like an iceberg lettuce salad for dinner one night because I couldn't get anything. And it's frustrating. It is
Yeah.
frustrating, um but I don't I think, and we talked about this just briefly, but like when I went to Italy, which was, I don't know, many, many years ago, I was really pleasantly surprised. Like I
Mhm.
knew that they had options, but I didn't know how many options they have. And my favorite
Yeah.
story of Italy is sitting at a restaurant outside of the Vatican with my mom and just like sobbing because I'm like, this is the best day of my life. Like I'm eating pasta and drinking wine and I'm in Italy and I'm like,
Yeah.
it wasn't weird when I said I had celiac, and they
Right.
just were like, of course you're going to eat. And that I love that about a lot of cultures is like they don't want you to go hungry. They want you to eat. Food is such an integral part of their lives, and so they're really accommodating. And I've found that in a lot of places that people are accommodating and want to feed you safely. They'll
Yeah.
do their best. It doesn't always happen, but Italy was a pleasant surprise. I mean, now fast forward many years later, and I love when people discover Italy for celiac because they're like, there's no way I can eat in Italy. And it's like, no, but actually you can. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I was so happy living there. I was like, I get to have, like, I had my places that I went to that I was a regular at, and I was like, I'm a regular someplace. It was very exciting.
yeah.
Um, but I'm also curious because you've been to so many places, including places on my own bucket list. Do you have any places left on your bucket list?
I,
Where else were
so
you hoping
many.
to go to?
I have so many. I mean, really, I really want to go. I mean, I know you went to Australia. I would love to go there one day. I want to explore more of South America. I've been to
Mm,
a lot of countries in Central America, but I want to explore South America. I mean, I have my bucket list is long, like we as a family, we have a world map behind our dining table, and like we just talk about places we want to go. We talk about where our friends are from around the world. So I'm very lucky to have family in the US. My husband's family's in Mexico, his sister's in France, our cousins are in Germany. So when we visit family, we have a lot of really wonderful places to go. So we're lucky in that sense. But now I just want to keep going, like I just don't want to stop. And I think there was a question that you had in your email was like, do you have a favorite place, or, if there's a place. And it's like, I always say now, like, that's like picking your favorite child. Like every place is so special for a reason, you
yeah.
know. Thailand to me was so special because it was like so far out of my comfort zone, but I did it, and I was so proud of myself that I did it. And then I've been to Singapore. I thought Singapore was fantastic, but also Singapore was special because I actually attended a celiac support group meeting in Singapore, and I made dumplings with local people, like gluten-free dumplings. And like to me, that is like one of my top travel experiences because
So cool.
it was like so far from home, but yet like we had this common bond. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I would imagine like going to Australia, and meeting Ben and his family, like you're so far away, but like you have this bond. And
Yeah.
it's celiac disease, which is so weird, but it's like you can bond over that, and it's really special because we are as different as every celiac is in an individual. There is a common bond there.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what just makes this community so amazing is that we are global, but we're also tied by this like crazy autoimmune disease. So
Yeah. And the nature of what that autoimmune disease is, you like cut through all the like superficial stuff and you're
yeah,
just getting in there into
yeah,
the
yeah.
the,
Like
the
we're talking
conversations
about like
most
your
people.
your stomach issues within the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes of
Yeah.
meeting anyone.
Yes. Yes. So it kind of just cuts straight through the nonsense. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Yeah, and so true. And it also, like you said, the bond is just like there's a friend now forever in each other because of the nature, and like there's an understanding of the mental load that we deal with on a day-to-day basis that you can't really understand unless you have a food allergy or an autoimmune condition that requires you to eat a
Right.
certain diet. So it's the empathy knows no bounds in that regard for folks like us, and I'm it's actually, I'm starting to become more and more appreciative of my diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I thought I would never get there. Like, there's a guy that I met. He does these gluten-free food tours in Barcelona, and I'm actually going to interview him in 2 days. And I went on one of the first tours that he did, and he was like telling the group of how much he loves having celiac and it's the best thing to ever happen to him. And I was like, I don't know, guy, like that's a little strange, but I think I'm almost there. I think I finally am in the mental health place that he's at. And it's a very fulfilling, wonderful community that I'm just so proud and happy to be a part of. And getting to meet folks like you is just super exciting. Like, what other what other community do things like this get to happen,
Right.
where a girl with like 20 followers can meet someone with a much bigger platform and get to connect as humans? It's just, it doesn't happen in any other community, so I'm very thankful for that.
No, I mean, I agree. I think, I will say, as a veteran celiac, like it does take time. Like I wasn't
Yeah,
this comfortable in my 20s, but
yeah,
in the past 20 years or so, like I am very comfortable with saying like celiac defined who I am today. And I know people don't like to say celiac defines them, but it has defined me. Like it defined like my career path. It dictated some of my best friend. Like honestly, my best friend I met at a meetup group in like, I don't even know, 2010. I don't even know, like we don't even like think about it anymore. Like we joke about it because we remember when we met and it was like a crazy circumstance and crazy gluten-free event, um like she's like my best friend now, and she has celiac, I have celiac, and really like so much of my community has been because of the celiac community. And my network, like I said, like my network is primarily people in this world. My day job is not gluten-free related anymore, but I still do a lot of consulting on the side, and like my clients are in this community. And so it really has defined who I am, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And I think some people are, but it takes time. It takes time
yeah,
to get there. It takes time to believe that you can travel. It takes time. I mean, it really does take time, and I'm sympathetic to that as well. And I also know it is life changing. I mean, I saw my sister go through it, right? Like my
yeah,
sister grew up with me, and then she was diagnosed, I guess my sister was diagnosed about 20 years ago, a little bit less, but her life changed. Her life changed dramatically. And I was like, but wait, you know exactly what to do. And she's like, no, but now I'm living it. Like I'm
yeah,
living it. I saw it, but now I'm living it. And I'm,
yeah,
I'm sympathetic to that. I get it. I 100%
yeah,
get it.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, we are coming to the end of our time, but my last question, and you don't have to answer if it's too revealing and whatnot, and people can stalk you too easily, but what is your next adventure that you're lining up that we're all going to
Um,
be able to
well, I'm
follow?
going to New York next week, so that's always an
That's
adventure. But
exciting.
I'm from
Yeah.
New York, so um, we are hopefully. Well, I'm going to Toronto in May.
Okay.
Shout out to my friend Ronnie Lynn, who does the Gluten Free Garage. It's a big expo in Toronto, so I'll be there at the end of May. I'll be at the Celiac Canada booth, and then hopefully this summer we are planning a family trip to. We have a list. We all have suggested where we want to go. Now it's just deciding which place we're going to go. So New York, Toronto, and then I'm voting for Europe, but we'll see what's going to win. So
I love that. Do you like pick a place out of a hat? Everybody puts in their suggestions and then that's how you randomly
um,
choose?
no,
I used to
although
pick places out of a bowl. I used to,
yeah.
but yeah.
No, I mean, I stare at that map above my dining table and I was like, man, like I have so many places I want to go. I just need to like win the lottery and not have a job
Yeah.
and all of the above. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, I will always, I am hoping for, I'm going to say this now so I can manifest it because
Yes.
I have a big
Manifest.
milestone birthday in 2 years. I really want to go on an African safari. So that is a goal of mine. I
Yes.
know I follow a few people that have done it. So I know it's possible to do with celiac disease, but like that is a dream of mine one day. I need to see an elephant in the wild. Like that
Yeah.
is what I need to do in my life.
I love that. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm going to watch you do that, and then I will follow after once I see how it works out for you.
Fingers crossed. I have 2 years to plan. So
Yes. Oh, it's so exciting. So I just end every episode with these rapid fire questions, and then I begrudgingly have to let you go. But hopefully, this is the first of many
yes,
chats.
thank you.
But when do you find yourself needing to advocate for yourself the most with celiac disease?
Um, Definitely when trying a new restaurant, but I will
Mm,
say here in Montreal, it's been, like I said, surprisingly easy.
yeah.
I haven't had to like really prove my gluten free to anyone as I have had to do in the United States before. So, but yeah, I think it's just when I'm going someplace new.
I love that. In your opinion, and you've been to a lot of cities, what is the city with the best gluten-free food?
I'm very biased, but it's New York City. I think, I just am like amazed at how many options there are now. And um, I don't know. I do have a list. I think New York, Portland, and like Rome, Portland,
Okay.
Oregon, and Rome. But yeah, I think those are like kind of my top three cities.
Love that. And where is your favorite city for exploring?
New York, but also Montreal. Like I've been here, gosh, like 20 months now, I guess. But I'm still exploring all the time. It's a beautiful city. It's a long, long, long winter. So we're just coming out of winter, but I'm excited to travel and explore more of Montreal and Quebec this summer.
I love that. And my last question, where is the city where you learned the most about yourself?
Sound like a broken record, but it's New York.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such New York is like my place. I knew right out of college I wanted to be working in Manhattan, and really, New York shaped me to like the gluten-free person I am today. And I will always be a New Yorker, no matter where I live in this world.
Yes. Yeah, I remember someone got upset with me because I kept saying, "Oh, I'm from New York." And they're like, "But you live in North Carolina. Why do you keep saying?" I was like, "Cuz once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker.
Totally.
Like it just does not you can't take it out of me. I'm so sorry."
And I like to say also like New Yorker first, American second, like a
Yes.
New Yorker.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's exactly how I feel
I
too.
know. That's another topic altogether.
Yes. We could do a whole podcast
Yeah,
series
that's a
just
private
on that.
conversation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it was lovely getting to chat
You
with
too.
you.
You too. This was great.
Please let the people know where they can find you.
Sure, you can find me on my website. It's glutenfreeglobetrotter.com. I have a newsletter. You can sign up right from my website. I'm also Gluten Free Globetrotter on Instagram. And as I said earlier, Celiac Travel Group on Facebook. We are the biggest celiac travel group on Facebook, so it's easy to find us. There's a little airplane icon for our group. So
I love that. It was lovely getting to chat
thank
with you,
you.
and thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
This is great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me this week for an episode of The Gluten Free Advocate. For more information on what's discussed on the podcast, check out the episode description and or my Substack, The Gluten Free Advocate. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Till next time. This episode is produced by Leigh Francis Productions.